Let's go! All right, Brady. Please, as we get started, we want to talk about the IFF, but let's make an introduction, sir. Please, who?
All right, Brady Sullivan. I'm a petroleum engineer here in Fort Worth for Burnett Oil Company. All these koozies we're giving away here.
You work with Trey.
I do, yeah. We are working the Powder River Basin together.
Whoa, cool.
So, yeah, that's, northeast corner of Wyoming.
I don't know much about Powder. Powder River, but how old is this stuff? How old is the reservoirs?
Old.
Permian?
Yeah, they're old.
Ordovician?
I don't know. Where's Trey? All I do is drill them. Yeah, they're pretty old, though. Rocks and stuff. I don't know. Is that dinosaur bones up there, too? Or, you tell me, Geo. Come on.
You show me the geochemical data, and I will show you where to put that well, where I promise you that. But is there dinosaur bones in it? That one's a question.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. But, yeah, so I've been with Burnett 9 years. I graduated from Texas Tech. Did 3 years
Red
with
Raider.
That's right. Come on. I did 3 years up in Wichita Falls, small operator, Burke Royalty, all over the state, doing some cool stuff. And
right on.
Yeah, I had to get back here to Fort Worth as soon as I could, and it's worked out good. So
right on, man.
Yeah, but no, the Iron Freedom Foundation.
Yeah, please, dude.
Yeah. So let's see. Have you had Will Cannon on the show?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I know you've had Ron Bianco on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so them and Travis Runge, Cameron Cushman, we run a 501c3 together called the Iron Freedom Foundation. Yep. We run veteran programs, pretty much do 3-4 day outdoor programs, kayaking, backcountry, fly fishing. Let's see, as part of some of the PTSD therapy for the veterans, and just get them out, get them immersed in nature for 3-4 days, and what we're really trying to do is build a community of like-minded outdoor enthusiasts that happen to be veterans. What these guys miss the most about being out of the military is the camaraderie part of it. Yeah. They spend every day with the same guys. And man, they really miss that. The structure, the guys that were actually in combat, go through some really heavy stuff together, and bonds form there that can't be duplicated anywhere else. Period. And so what we try to do is get them together, and no matter the branch, they get together, and there's an immediate bond between these guys. That It just comes natural. You're out on the river. We do a lot of trips on the Devil's River, Southwest Texas, down by Del Rio. It flows into Lake Amstead with the Rio Grande and the Pecos. Crystal clear. It's the, let's see, what is it? It's the outcrop. I'm going to talk some geology here for you. It's the outcrop of like the Edwards and the Buddha Lime, kind of that system. It's a fractured carbonate water system,
Right on, man. And it's giving out some fresh water.
Yeah, woo. Yeah. And so big hilltops is pretty deserty. This beautiful river comes up out of the middle of nowhere.
Isn't that crazy?
And spring fed and crystal clear, so it's just beautiful.
Me and Will Cannon talked about the research institute that I help out with, taking rocks along the way and doing the elemental makeup of it and putting it in a much bigger model, much broader model. Why does that thing pop out of the middle of nowhere, right? What is actually going on there? Let's figure it out. You guys are already going down that river, and you're there. You're in the physical world. Pick up a rock and save it. That's all we need. Yeah, so, I'm an engineer, and let's see, the former president of Burnett Oil, current president and former president, both geologists, always nerding out on rocks and stuff. And I'd gone on the Devils, and a geologist, Ross Cox from Midland, used to work for Clayton Williams. He's out on his own now, but we were camping on this island, and, he goes to explaining to me how, this is, that series of rock and all this. Well, the island we were staying on was pretty flat bedrock, but it was fractured. And so there was a little section over on the edge of the island that was cut up. Just perfect little, every half inch, it was a straight fracture. Wow.
And so I broke off a chunk of it with like 5 of these perfectly cut rocks, all fit together, of course, and all that. And I took it back to my office. And so our weekly meeting the next week, everybody was like, what the hell does he got in? I had it wrapped up in a paper towel or something. And I was like, what the hell did he got in here? So I unloaded some rocks on him and just, I was the favorite after that. And so,
you won him over, man.
Yeah. So, but no, let's see, we've done a total of 8 excursions with these veterans over the last 3 years. Let's see, I believe we've taken and fully outfitted 37 guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's cool about it. You leave the equipment with them. That's a big deal. That's definitely unique and different. You really care about the science behind why water and nature has such an impact. Why is it for you? What drew you to do this? Why did you become part of the IFF?
Oh man. So
are you a veteran?
Let's see. No, I'm not. No, not at all. So let's see. In probably 2016, on Instagram, you can follow certain hashtags and stuff, and hashtag Devil's River, right? And I'd seen on somebody's picture that Will Cannon had made a comment of, "Hey, I'm wanting to take some veterans down the river. Let's talk about it." Well, I just shot him a note and said, "Look, I've been going since 2002. Not many people know that place better than I do. Let's talk about it." And he was in Houston at the time, working with a different nonprofit. He came to Fort Worth. We met up, had lunch, talked about it. Kind of made some tentative plans on, let's do this. Let's run the river, and I'll guide you. Wow. Well, 2 years later, he's like, "Hey, I started my own foundation, and we're going to try to get some funding and make our first trip, as soon as that happens." And so I get a text from him at 11 or 12 o'clock at night one time. Hadn't heard from him in months. Yeah, Will. and it's just a picture of him and Ron and Travis at some banquet, just standing there.
I think I've seen this picture. Is that when they got it donated?
They're not doing anything. They're not holding a big check. They're just standing there. And that's all I get. No text, no nothing, just the picture. And so I'm like, well, all right, yeah.
How'd it go?
And so, the next day, so I'm texting him okay, what did you just send me? You look good in that camouflage tie, but what else you got? Why? Come on, what's going on? And so the next day, he texted me, "Hey, we're funded," or maybe he called me and said, "Hey, let's do a trip." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And this was probably 1st of October into September, something like that. And he was like, "Yeah, let's do one in November." And I'm like in 5 weeks, November? And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sounds good." But
and you're taking them down. You're you're the kayak guide.
Yeah. And funny story, one of our Marines and a guy that helps out with the foundation a lot, Joe Sanchez in Odessa. So we're going down the river, and he was like, "So how long you been a guide?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not." And him and Ron look at each other like, "What the? Who? I thought we had a guide." And I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I've run it."
You probably know it better than anybody.
I've run it more than the guides have. Wow. So does that count? But
got confidence now.
That's still a running joke of how we've never actually had a guided trip. But I've guided 6 of them. So
right on. Anything gnarly happen? Any 6 of those, as far as unexpected rapids or something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these military guys don't listen for crap, right? And so they, you tell them, "Hey, go down the left side of this rapid," and they're like, "Who's this guy telling me what to do? I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. So I'm going to go down the middle, not down the left." And this is Will Cannon. This was an actual event. And so he bombs this Class 3 rapid at water level. So I've been going 19 years, and there's this one Class 3 rapid called Three Tier Falls.
Okay.
And it's pretty tough. I mean, but let's see. That year, 2018, was really wet. The river was up. I mean, it was up higher than I've seen it in 19 years.
What?
And so we're bombing this rapid, and I can't remember if Will went first. I don't think he did. Ron made it down the rapid, by the way, unscathed. Everybody else kind of flipped over,
That
but
dude's a caveman. I could believe it.
yeah, for sure. I think he's got webbed feet. I think that's the thing. He's from the Houston area, and I think his feet are just webbed. But he's got. Funny. I don't know if he has a foot thing, but
he definitely needs the feet to breathe. He definitely needs the feet to breathe, I guess, right? He wears no shoes.
He's a geologist, right? He wears those Jesus sandals all the time. Anyways.
So, Cannon takes this.
Yeah, so Cannon bombs down this rapid, down the middle, after I told him go to the left, like hard left, like all the way to the left, like where you can touch the grass on the left bank left. And, of course, he doesn't listen. And so he, flips over,
oh, shit.
In the middle of the rapid and gets swept under. And, I mean, it's white water. It's a Class 3 fall. And he gets banged up pretty bad. He's got strawberries all over him, and there's kind of some grass in the middle of this rapid, and there's always a bunch of leeches in them. So he got covered in these little tiny, half-centimeter leeches, hundreds of them. And what'd he do? He dislocated a tendon in his elbow and
dislocated a tendon,
something like that. I don't know. He hurt himself, and so he got scratched up, did something to his elbow, and then,
he's got to make it down the rest of the trip.
With the whole debacle, some hooks got caught in his shoe, and so on this trip we had the owner of Devil's River Whiskey, Mike Cameron, on the trip.
He was there.
Yeah, so he came, and one of his buddies, Charlie Lemon from Florida, that lost both of his legs in an IED attack in Iraq.
Wow.
So that was cool. I mean, that was something cool for me, that I got to guide the first double leg amputee to ever go down the Devil's River.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty neat. Yeah. So that was funny.
Right on.
And so Charlie's propped up on a rock next to Will, and I think Ron's bent over trying to get the hook out of his foot, and he's grimacing. He's got this look on his face, and just trying to get him patched up. But I remember him made the comment of, "Man, I've been shot twice, and this hurts more." But I don't know. Maybe he was a few Devil's River shots later. He was fine.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But he still likes to talk about it. But no, that was really unique when we put in on that trip. It was our first trip.
Wow.
We'd had our funding for 3 weeks. And just kind of threw it together, made it happen.
Wow.
Had 5 veterans on that trip. Maybe 8 of us total or 7 of us total, something like that.
And you do the videography? Is that how you you're all?
I do photos. I do all our drone work.
So when I got the video and I planted it in that commercial, you did that.
No, so our cinematographer is Cameron Cushman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he works for the parent company that owns Bubba Blade. The knives, fillet knives and stuff. Oh. But he's in Columbia, Missouri. So he does the film work. I do most of the photos and all of the drone work. But yeah, so we put in the river, and we go down about a mile to Dolan Falls, which is a 12-foot waterfall. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's oohing and awing. You have to drag your kayak up to the side of it, and then you go up to it, and everybody's taking pictures and jumping off the falls. And, we're all up there, and I look back, and I see Charlie. No legs, sitting back in his kayak, twiddling his thumbs. He ain't walking up to the falls, Oh,
shit.
And so I look back there, and I walk up to him, and this is 75 yards away. I say, "Hey, you want to go see the falls?" And he's like, he kind of looks around with this smart-ass look, says, "Yeah." And so I put him on my back.
Wow.
And I carry him up there, and all the other guys were standing around kind of enamored with the falls, kind of, looking over here to their right and didn't see us coming. Well, I just kind of pop up, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with everybody, and he's still on my back, and they all kind of turn around, and, man, you could hear a pin drop. Just, it was one of those moments, you didn't expect necessarily, but, wow. Here's a guy, no legs. Somebody's carrying him up to the falls, and it kind of took everybody's breath away, so that was pretty neat. But
wow.
But yeah, we've done 6 trips on the Devils.
6 trips. It's always somebody different. I mean, you, Ron, and the crew, but it's always a group of new veterans.
Yeah. So what we do is we shoot for 5 new veterans per trip.
Wow.
And then
5 times a year, 6 times a year. What are you guys trying to shoot for?
Man, however many we can pay for. last year with everything, we didn't get
So
to have our fundraisers, so that was kind of tough for us. But yeah, like, this year so far, we've already done 2 trips. We did one in March. We did one in May.
Right on.
We've got one that we're doing in Colorado, fly fishing, backcountry, backpacking kind of trip in August. And then we'll be back on the Devils in September and probably October.
Wow. How do you guys feel as like fundraising moving forward? Obviously you have the plan. Like anybody with a conscious and disposable income or whatever could definitely support this and help 5 more veterans in between March and May, right? Like you guys can be doing this once a month. You guys sound
Absolutely
like you're doing it every weekend. You just live there. You just do trips every day.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
A day.
I mean, so the way we've set up our foundation to kind of set ourselves apart from other foundations is that we give all of the gear to our veterans that they need on these trips. So the kayak, the fishing gear,
like
the camping
grand.
gear.
How much is that? $5,000?
It's about $3,000 worth of stuff. Yeah. So these trips cost us about $15,000 to $18,000.
Right.
So that's expensive. So it takes a pretty good effort to raise that amount of money to go on a trip.
Takes a pretty good effort to change the psychology of someone coming back from war, man.
Well, for sure.
So you got to invest in that.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
It's not for the
definitely.
money, it's for the reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, as a civilian that I've heard stories of these guys going down the river and sitting around at night at camp that, it's not necessarily what they did, while they were at war, but it's friends they lost. It's their brothers.
Gosh, dude.
That
chills, man.
That might have been standing right next to them. And so that's kind of what they see when they close their eyes,
Right, man.
And no, I mean, what we're doing is just getting these guys together and then, trying to build a community of just friendships, man. Just friendships. Like, we got together at Ron's house last fall for Thanksgiving and just did a party.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, Thanksgiving dinner. Just got us all together, and we had probably, 30, 40 people come.
Oh, man.
And we're just like, all right, who's got COVID, But, yeah, and then,
I washed my hands, by the way, before this podcast.
Yeah, I washed mine before I gave you a cold beer. But the Devil's River Whiskey Distillery has been finished for like a year, but they haven't had their grand opening until this April. And so there was probably 20 of us that met in San Antonio and went to go support Mike and just got together and hung out and
right on.
So it's the community. And then our 2 years ago, pre-COVID, we had a clay shoot in Midland.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We had 300 and something people come out and shoot with us. It was very successful, but just working together on an event like that where you have a goal in mind, and there's a lot of work that goes into it to make it successful. Starting off with building a flyer, making a flyer, getting everything on it that you want, and then promoting it and getting sponsors and getting teams signed up. And so you're working together, and before you know it, you're talking to these guys every other day. And your friends, maybe groomsmen in your wedding or whatever, you hadn't talked to in 6 months. But here's guys from the Iron Freedom Foundation that you went down on a random trip on the Devil's River with that you're talking to every couple days. And so it's a natural way to build that community that it really just works. I mean, you can't explain it, as far as what happens on these trips with just being out in nature, out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're 30 miles from a town. There's not many lights around. Even on the skyline, you're just out there.
That's right, man. Now, I was just thinking, and we'll wrap it up because I think we got an incredible story out of you, man, and for a lot of reasons. But as just a pure nonprofit, how do you guys handle like the insurance? Right, everyone's always worried about liability and shit like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got a policy for that.
Oh, cool.
And everybody signs a waiver, and luckily at this stage in the game, we hadn't had any bad accidents.
There ain't no, I mean, obviously, at that point, if something does happen, you have the people that would unite and allow them to put a lot of money into helping that bad situation.
Yeah.
But just, I like the idea that it's possible, man. It's possible. And it's up to you guys, up to the men and women that show up that want to do this.
Yeah.
They know the risk. It ain't about the risk, man. I mean, you guys are providing mental health and mental awareness and veteran awareness. I mean, I commend you, man, and it's an honor to share this time with you. And
thank you.
Know what you've done for the IFF, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and something cool that we try to do, like, we did 2 trips this spring, and I think 2 guys on each trip were either police department, sheriff's department, something like that were also, in the Army or the Marines.
Right.
And so we're getting a double dip on veterans and first responders on some occasions, and I really like to do that. That's a pretty neat experience because, they did what they did, then they came back, and they're still serving.
Man.
So
I was going to try to give you a hard time about oversimplifying reservoir models.
Yeah.
I was trying to get there.
Square root of something. Huh?
Yeah, R squared is what again? Recovery factors.
Yeah,
but we
for
can
sure.
do that another time, man. I enjoyed
absolutely.
this. Thank you for sharing that story with the IFF. We're huge supporters, man. We always will be. And I think it's a community that's just going to grow and support. So
yes, sir.
pretty amazing, man. That's got to feel pretty good to have been a part of that, and it's successful.
Yeah, so we've got 2 more fundraisers on the books right now.
Right on.
Here,
when are they?
Here in the Fort Worth area, we've got a golf tournament coming up Friday, September 10th at Canyon West Golf Tournament or Golf Club out by Weatherford. And then we've got a clay shoot at Jake's Clays in Midland on October 29th. And so, again, both of those, trying to get them off the ground, get them rolling, get people signed up, get money in.
Let's go.
I talked to Will and Ron both today.
Is that right?
Just about, what we got going on for this golf tournament and who we got signed up. And
it's looking good, man. You guys are working hard on it. Right on.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to raise enough money for several trips out of those 2 events and just keep the ball rolling. So
yep.
it's all
right
good.
On, Brady. Thank you, man, for sharing
Yes, sir.
that.